So what's up, y'all? I'm Ryan Mitchell, and I am so excited to be chatting with, honestly, a childhood icon. And now we can basically call them a queer icon as well. Singer, actor, and activist, Demi Lovato. Welcome to Audacy's Check-In. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you. How are you?
I mean, I'm great. Like, honestly, this is a moment that I would have never in a million years thought I would be sitting down chit-chatting with you.
You're so cute.
No, I really mean it. It's like it's a moment for me, and so I just thank you for being here. But let's jump right into this, okay? Because I really want to talk about the birth of your new podcast right here on Audacy, 40 with Demi Lovato. What were some of the first conversations that you had when you decided, like, oh, I think I'm going to jump into the podcasting space?
Well, podcasting seems to be like the cool new thing, right? Everybody has a podcast. And so I thought, what is a cool way that I could continue my like self exploration and this journey of self development? What better way to continue through a podcast? And, I just filmed my documentary and I wanted to, I thought, what if everybody has a podcast, what is going to set mine apart? And I thought, I want to be having conversations that are going to help make this world a better place. And so whether it's trying to have important conversations that are raising the awareness about subjects that maybe people aren't talking enough about right now, or it's my ultimate mission, which is to have conversations that elevate humanity into the next dimension. That is what 4D is all about.
No, because when I tell you, I was going to ask you, like, how did the inspiration behind that name even come up? Because 4D, one, it feels like it's a play on word because four and Demi Lovato, but it's also such a bigger picture moment where I'm like, how do you come up with something like that?
Well, honestly, we were talking about just what we wanted this podcast to be. And I really do. I want to have conversations that are going to lift humanity into the next dimension and raise our frequency. And if that's through conversations that are about meditation or about expanding our consciousness through, divine wisdom and making contact with extraterrestrials, then so be it. And then obviously it kind of was just like, oh wait, that's actually kind of perfect because the four and D in your name. And I was like, yeah, let's go for it. So
when it's right? Like it just feels like the pieces all fell in line. And I love that so much, especially on the alien tip. Like I feel like we can have a full on other conversation about that because that's my stuff.
Those episodes we have to schedule, but yes, they will be coming up.
So you've always been the one getting interviewed. So how does it feel jumping into the driver's seat asking the question? So was it like harder than you thought?
It was definitely harder than I thought. I kind of was like expecting to just jump into it and kind of find a groove. But the first day, luckily I was on with my good friend Alok Vaidmanan, and we had a conversation about something that was really passionate, that I'm really passionate about, and that they're passionate about as well. But that is gender identity. And because the first episode was something that I didn't feel like I just spoke from my heart, and that's what made kind of the rest fall into place. And it's been an incredible learning experience.
Yeah, I think that's what you feel when you're listening to these conversations. They feel so intimate. I feel like I'm getting a piece of you that I'm like, am I supposed to even have this? Right. And I think that's what a lot of the listeners, they really get a peek into what your world looks like. Why was that so important for you?
Well, I'm a very passionate person, and I'm very outspoken about a lot of things that I believe in. And I feel like sometimes my message gets lost in translation when over text, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Like I find that when people can when I'm able to show the world my heart, it shows that my intention is coming from a pure place. And so I wanted to have conversations that like showed people, I really am invested in making this world a better place, making it a more loving place, a more compassionate place. And I feel like this platform provides me a stage to talk about the things that I'm passionate about in a way where you can see that it's never coming out of malice. It's never coming out of hate. It is just coming out of a place of wanting to make the world a better place.
How did you learn that? Because I think oftentimes when you're in the midst of the storm and like people are coming at you, and you're like, my intentions were so good, it kind of makes you want to take a seat back. It's like, maybe I shouldn't have been even into this conversation. So how did you continue to feel like, oh, I need to keep pushing on. I need to find better ways to educate myself or find better ways to make sure my message is getting across in a way where I'm still bringing awareness to things that are important for me?
Well, we're all works in progress, right? If we're doing our part to make this world a better place by educating ourselves on topics that we need to be less ignorant about, whether it's, I don't know, I just felt like every time I've made a statement over Instagram or Twitter, I felt like it's gotten lost in translation a little bit. And I had an experience in like May or April. And I feel like it was me talking about something I was very passionate about pertaining to the diet culture. And I realized that because I was so passionate and so like, yeah, because I was so passionate, I let my emotions get the best of me, and it didn't allow me to explain where I was coming from as easily as it would have been on a podcast. And so I just thought, going forward, I want to have conversations where people can see my face, they can hear my voice, and they can see that that I'm still learning as well as the rest of the world. I'm no means an expert on many, many things, right? But I'm willing to learn about it, and I'm willing to continue to have conversations that either educate me or others on how to make this world a better place.
Which I'm thinking, like, how has your definition of transparency kind of changed over the years, especially with you being in the spotlight? Do you feel like you've grown to become more open, or are you picking and choosing what the world is getting of you now? Because I feel like you put yourself out there, and that can be really draining when people are just pulling you from every direction.
It is really draining if you don't have a good support system in place. And luckily, I have not only an incredible support system put in place, but a great structure around me. So my weeks still have a good amount of structure in them, to where my downtime is scheduled, my work time is scheduled, and I'm able to balance everything well because of the parameters I've put in place for myself. And I think it's important that I never lose that transparency with my fans, because that's what has brought me so close to them. Me being able to have conversations with them about what they're really going through, or keeping that line of communication open, is important to me. Just so that I'm constantly hearing feedback from them. And yeah, I do pick and choose a little bit more. I try to limit, my exposure so that I'm not all in your face. But just enough to where I still feel like I have a pulse on what's going on in the world and my career.
I know it's hard to choose, but can you spill a little tea on any future conversations on the podcast that you're very excited for everyone to hear? Like a good one. Don't give me no like little superficial one. Give me a juicy one.
Juicy one. Oh man. I'm trying to think. Well, I had one today, and Today's was with another artist who I actually grew up listening to and idolized myself. And so being able to have a conversation with her about the music industry, how being told to soften our opinions and, you know, yeah, our opinions, things we were passionate about, how it affected our personal lives, how we translated that into our personal lives. And so that was a really interesting conversation. And I'm really glad that I got to have that. So,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and there's more conversations coming too. You know, I want to expand, um, I want my audience to be able to learn more. And so whether it's talking to experts on or different experts on different topics, like maybe that comes more into play too.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And also this just feels like so healing, this process for you. I just see it on you, right? I see like it feels like you're going through kind of your own personal therapy session where you're being validated, you're like hearing similar situations. Like has that feeling kind of popped up for you throughout this process of just healing?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I feel like every day that I come into my little podcast room, my shroom room, every day I learn something new, and it's beautiful, and uh, it's just given me a whole new passion in my career to look forward to. I, I got so used to making music and making work for other people to enjoy, and I sometimes lost the beauty of creating something with someone, like these conversations where I'm learning something new every day. It's just an exciting new chapter in my career.
Oh, I love that. I mean, seriously, everybody, if you're not checking out 4D with Demi Lovato, you're missing out. You're only getting half the story. But let's talk Pride season because I feel like we tackled it so much already. But let's talk Pride season. I can only imagine Pride meaning so much to you, especially with you're announcing your non-binary pronouns. Like, what does this time mean for you? Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. You're so sweet. And I noticed you used them earlier, and I really appreciate that.
I don't play no games. I do a lot of consulting work with GLAD, and so like I'm just so happy that we have someone like you in the spotlight, and I want to respect it. It's so important.
Thank you. Well, it's very important to me as well. And over the past year and a half, since I've learned about gender identity more, and learning about being non-binary or gender non-conforming, I've used this time to really explore what feels right to me. And after a year and a half of exploration, I realized it was time to let the world know that it feels weird to me when I get called a she or a her. And I understand that people might have a hard time adjusting to it because it is something new. But, I want to encourage people to keep trying, and that I understand that it's a process to get used to. Sometimes I still mess up myself, but it's okay. And I'm still every day stepping more and more into the identity that feels right to me, which is my pronouns being they, them.
Yeah, how has your family adapted to your new pronouns? Because that's the thing where it's like friends and family, the people you're always around. It's like, do they have to snap out of it and remember sometimes?
My family has done an incredible job, actually. I've noticed, especially my older sister, Dallas, I've noticed them. I mean, I've see, I called her them. I've noticed her using them and they, and it like really does warm my heart up that people are trying. And my friends have had like a little harder time to get used to, actually, just because I think like your friends are the ones that you're more likely to be like, bitch, like, and so I'm like, look, you can still call me bitch. Like that is gonna have to be, and there are times where I might have to choose. Like I had this conversation with someone. I was like, oh no, I was in Texas, and I was like, does that make me a cowgirl or a cowboy? And I was like, I don't want to be a cow human, so I'm just gonna go with cowgirl. Like,
I mean, I think cow human sounds really chic. So
maybe I can get used to it.
yeah, you better move your way through life. I love that. I love it. Well, and speaking of kind of your friends and chosen family, it feels like you kind of always had that around you. But I wonder, especially coming out of quarantine, did the way you define chosen family change over time?
Yes. I used to identify family as blood related. And now my queer family has become more of family than friends, you know? And I feel like I now have two families. I have my blood relatives, and then I have my queer family. And that family to me is the chosen family that um my soulmate looks different than your typical soulmate. My soulmate is my best friend, Matthew Scott. And him and I have never been romantic and never will be, but like that is my person. You know what I'm saying? And so my ideas and perspectives have totally shifted as I've gotten older and since I found a safe place to be myself.
Oh, that's beautiful because for me, growing up in the South, very religious, like literally I'm from Nashville, and growing up in that space, there was so much that I had to reframe, relearn, redefine for myself that was so negative and internalized that I'm happy that my queer and family, my chosen family was just there for me, right? I do want to ask you, how are you going to be celebrating Pride through, outside of June?
I just feel so happy to be a part of such a loving month, and it's so cool that that it's just this month of celebration of love, and so I whatever I can do to continue that outside of June, whether it's spreading love to strangers on the street or just carrying more joy into my life on a daily basis rooted from self-acceptance, that I think is crucial to continuing this happiness outside of the month of June.
I just want to say thank you so much for joining. As I know you are very busy, we really appreciate you checking in with us here at Audacy. And seriously, obsessed with you. Love you, love you, love you.
Yeah, love you.
Seriously, this conversation has been beautiful, and thank you for sharing and just being here with me in this moment. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And everyone, make sure to check out 40 with Demi Lovato right here on the Audacy app. Bye, y'all.